Since Logan's raft was the first to receive the shockwave's wrath, they lost all the walls. Without giving a thought to what just happened, both Logan and Ross paddled the raft away from the boulder in the river a couple of yards before them. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The alpha undead rained down arrows while keeping up with their rafts. He was like an Olympic gold medalist runner on drugs, merged with an Olympic archer. Despite the raft speed, he was able to keep up with them. The remaining side wall was able to prevent the majority of the arrows from hitting Michael's raft, but the same couldn't be said to Logan's raft, which had no walls to protect them. If it wasn't for Marcella firing back to mess with the Alpha's accuracy, they would have surely lost another teammate, most probably Logan since he was literally a huge target. "Stop the Alpha," Michael said to Gaia through the earpiece before the Alpha could get lucky and kill one of them. Even Michael remained behind the wall because of the Alpha undead's precision. He headshot Brownie, who was on a moving raft. "Piece of cake." As usual, she sounded confident. He was glad she's here. Otherwise, he would have been forced to reveal his secret. Until he could see the artifact, he didn't want the others to know that he can use arch energy. Besides, he wanted to see what H or Ross planned to do when they finally reached the artifact. It was possible that either of them still holds an ace up their sleeves. Right at the moment, the Alpha knocked up an arrow to fire, but before he could do that, another arrow came from the forest behind him. Michael saw the Alpha turning his head, sensing Gaia's presence, but it was too late as the arrow went straight through the Alpha's head. Just like Michael, everyone else, the others who saw the scene, were bewildered. First, a boulder came out of nowhere, and now the Alpha was killed by someone. The sudden change of events confused them. Who killed it? Someone's in the forest. Ross came to the correct conclusion, yet he had no idea who was in the forest helping them. Plus, no matter how hard he thought, he couldn't find an answer to the question, how or what could have thrown the boulder with such force. Everyone except Michael was thinking the same thing. Even the Alpha's death couldn't stop the dumb Netherils from rushing into the river. Unlike the Alpha, they had no brain function whatsoever, hence they ended up either drowning immediately or flooded by the river. They were not a threat, not at all. If they had the ship built by Rowan's team, or it wasn't for the Alpha and the crocodiles, this journey would have been a peaceful one and Brownie would have been still alive. He was a valuable team member as well as a great fighter. They needed all the fighters they could. Now they only had Logan, H, Ross, Michael, and Marcella to face an army of undeads guarding the temple. "There's still some Alphas heading your way. Let me take care of them," Gaius said. Chapter 254. H and Ross nodded at Johnny, wordlessly agreeing with him to stroll over the bridge without wasting any time. Michael walked over to the bridge to see the rope bridge's integrity. The bridge looked ancient, in which the deck of the bridge lied on two parallel load-bearing ropes that were anchored at either end. They had no towers or piers. Some of the wooden planks were missing, while some looked rotten due to old age. If this was any other day, no one in the team would have agreed to walk this bridge, yet in this situation, they had to take the risk. Michael stood aside, deciding to let the others use the bridge first. He noticed Johnny giving a pat to his tummy before taking the steps towards the bridge. "Follow me." Johnny ordered his men to follow him. Although Johnny didn't seem like a leader figure in Michael's eyes, the cloaked figures did follow him behind, only to get stopped by H. "Stop, what now?" Johnny turned with his brows creased. Coupled with the bloody flux's effects, H's constant interference annoyed Johnny. "I'm not stupid to let your guys use the bridge first. We'll use the bridge one by one. Ross, you go next." After seeing the stern look on H's face, Johnny realized there's no point in arguing. Therefore, he just took his first step on the bridge. His first step caused the bridge to shake. Johnny quickly grabbed the two ropes on either side to balance himself, as well as stop the bridge from shaking. One slow step at a time, Johnny moved forward. Even the thunderclaps from the distance were able to slightly shake this ancient rope bridge. Since his stomach was hurt by the bloody flux, he kind of limped towards the pyramid. The rope bridge may have anchored at two ends, but the wooden planks were only laid until the pyramid's top. After the pyramid, there were no wooden planks, just ropes. The bridge was either built on a rush or by an amateur, everyone thought. HGGGGR. When Johnny reached the pyramid's top, a bright light appeared, producing a weird sound. The light soon enveloped Johnny. In a blink of an eye, Johnny disappeared from the bridge. When Johnny disappeared, one would expect Maria to panic, but the one who panicked was none other than Michael himself. "Who'll go next?" Michael was already standing near the bridge. Hence, before Ross could make a move, he stepped on the bridge. He was supposed to go last, except they saw him cut in the line. Not only Ross, but every single one of them was shocked. Yet they were unable to shout or do anything to stop him. "Careful," Logan almost shouted when he saw the bridge violently shake. The bridge looked like it could barely take on a walking passenger, but David was running on the ancient bridge. They were afraid of him collapsing the bridge, or worse, waking up the undead army below them. Michael completely ignored their fears. Kachak, the same blue light that enveloped Johnny, appeared again to envelop Michael. Yes, Johnny and the two cloaked figures tried to reach Michael, except an invisible force stopped them from doing so. "We cannot let him take that," the cloaked figure who previously worshipped the rune shouted. The other cloaked figure turned back to see Ross appear. "Use it." Johnny saw the cloaked figure who appeared second taking out a red brick with silver wires coiled around it. Johnny immediately recognized it. The red brick was a powerful explosive used by the Church of Modin. "Wait." Johnny tried to stop, but the cloaked figure was swift. He placed the brick as close as possible to Michael, fiddling with the wires coiled around the brick for a bit. "Run!" The cloaked figure screamed before running as fast as they could from the red brick. Since Johnny knew about the explosive brick, he too ran behind them to the hall's far corner. Fortunately, the light teleported everyone to the far corner, so Ross never had to run. Staring at the glowing runes and the trio running away, Ross had too many questions in his mind. The red brick began to vibrate while its surface emitted a cloud of black smoke. In a blink of an eye, the cloud of black smoke transformed into a red-hot flame. Boom! The red brick exploded with an immense amount of force. The explosion created a bright light that made everyone close their eyes. The entire hall trembled as stone pieces from the ceiling crumbled down on them. When they opened their eyes, they saw the glowing runes flicker before completely disappearing from the hall. The artifact, the two cloaked figures shouted in joy, seeing the black orb rolling on the ground where Michael was standing a moment ago. The cloaked figures completely ignored the body lying on the ground a few meters away from the orb. It was Michael. He laid on the ground face down. Puffs of smoke kept emerging from his charred clothes, as well as some of his body parts. "Johnny," Ross turned back and saw his daughter appear. "Pulch! Pulch!" While his gaze was on Maria, he heard a familiar sound appear from the other side. He would recognize this sound in his sleep, the sound of a blade piercing a body. He immediately turned back to see the two cloaked figures lying on the ground, blood gushing out from their back. Standing beside their bodies, Johnny picked up the orb on the ground. He held the orb in one hand while a bloody dagger in his other hand. "It's mine." Ross saw an evil grin appear on Johnny's pale face. Although Ross had a bad feeling about Johnny, he never imagined him backstab two people in cold blood. When Johnny turned his murderous glance at Maria, a chill ran through Ross' spine. He quickly stepped in front of Maria, shielding her with his body. Considering Ross had little to no idea about Johnny's real combat ability or the artifact's power, he feared for his daughter's life. "Stay back," Ross said in a grave voice. The last thing he wanted was his daughter to become collateral damage in the fight between him and Johnny. While he was shielding his daughter, H and the others appeared in the hall one by one. Seeing the three dead bodies, H immediately unsheathed his sword. Except for the remaining cloaked figures in the hall, everyone raised their weapon at Johnny. What happened here? Who killed him? Finally, one of the cloaked figures unsheathed his dagger. Because Johnny was standing so besides the dead bodies, they naturally suspected Johnny, and they were right. Yet again, he never thought she would turn into completely a different person. You're right to blame me, but you're not a murdered Maria. You kidding me? I just killed these people, she devilishly chuckled, pointing her finger at the headless bodies in the hall. And don't act like you know me. You were never there for me and my mother. You failed as a father and a husband. You're an utter failure. Who would bring an undead to their own home? And even when we started this journey, if you were a good father, no matter how stubborn your daughter was, you would have sent her away. Even then, you put your mission to serve Giselle first. Her words were spot on. He was too focused on saving his kingdom rather than his daughter. The scholars and Senate were absolutely sure that they could control the undead army with this artifact. That was why he risked his life to come here. If they could control this undead army, no kingdom would stand on Giselle's path or dare to invade them. The Alphas were an example of the artifact's power to control the undead. Since no man came to save me or my mother, I learned to protect myself and to destroy those who harmed me. I'd bet someone would kill the Senate for me and pay millions of gold for this artifact. Maria, this is not you. Ross' voice broke in overwhelming regret. He tried to knock some sense into Maria. This is the new me. That lovey-dovey, stupid girl thing was just an act to fool you. And it seems it can fool anyone. I mean, you have no idea how easily you can manipulate men putting up an act. Plus, you're all fools, so it was much easier to fool you. Seeing the young girl laughing at them made everyone feel embarrassed and mad. Even H, who had decades of dealing with criminals and battle experience, failed to see her true face. But I gotta give it to you guys. You've done a great job escorting me here. I never thought getting here would be this easy. I guess those alphas are just overrated. If this was a better circumstance, they would gladly agree with her, because they did see only one alpha. And you, my slave, are ridiculously underrated. I cannot wait to hear how you managed to throw a boulder that size. Was it you who ordered to kill Rowan's team and destroy the ship? H suddenly asked before Maria could get an answer from Johnny. Why would I do that? I'm not stupid to destroy my safe ride. Safe ride. I don't know who. Might be someone else with a grudge against Giselle. Now enough talking. Let's get to the fun part. Killing you all, she licked the spear's blade. I didn't master suddenly. Her menacing eyes turned to Johnny, who spoke without lifting his head up. What you didn't? Throwing the boulder, master. It wasn't me. She creased her brows. Destroying the ship was a logical move for anyone with a grudge against Giselle, and there were countless people who fell into that category. However, she couldn't think of a person who would help them get to the artifact. Why don't you ask me? Maria felt a chill running through her spine when she heard an unearthly voice coming from behind. Chapter 256. Ease. Moving, Jonah's face turned pale. He stuttered, pointing at Michael's body. Everyone, including Johnny and Maria, turned back to see Michael's charred body slowly starting to float from the ground. They couldn't believe their own eyes. What in the hell? Maria took a step back due to the subconscious fear in her mind. Visible to the naked eye, his burnt skin on the arm, neck, and face healed. His body slowly rose up in the air. The black eyes soon transformed into crimson-red eyes. They were staring at him in utter shock. Jonah's body shivered like he was standing outside naked in the wintertime. His transformation did not stop with crimson-red eyes, but the burnt clothes were slowly vanishing into thin air, while pieces of black armor started to cover his body from toe to neck. The armor looked like a breed between leather and metal. Up to his neck, no place on his body was left alone. The armor covered every inch of it. This was the first time Michael wore Lucifer armor without the cloak and mask. Logan was the tallest one in the group, who stood at 6 feet 7 inches, yet the transformation made Michael an inch taller than Logan himself. After the armor was completely set on his body, they saw dark smoke being radiated from his body. Soon afterward, his eyes ignited with dark red fire. These people were somewhat lucky to witness the Dark Lord's first evolution. It can't be. You were dead. Maria stuttered in fear. Not only her, but everyone began to fear him because of the fear toxin in the air. Even if there wasn't any fear toxin in the air, they would have reacted the same way. They had never seen someone fly or heal this fast in the southern continent. It was clear as a day that he's using magic, except they had no idea how. Don't! When Maria saw him move forward towards her in the air, she shouted, taking out the orb from her satchel. She applied pressure to the orb as it began to produce creaking sounds. "It'll destroy it," she threatened Michael with the artifact. "What makes you think I care?" He just raised his finger. The next moment, a bolt of a golden lightning bolt shot towards the orb from his fingertip. The orb shattered by the lightning bolt into countless pieces. "Ow, how? Are you doing this?" Jonah stuttered while the others began to question their sanity. "Magic, impossible." Michael stopped releasing the fear toxin into the air. He knew the display of spell casting would keep them afraid. Even he himself didn't know the complete extent of his new powers. He was now at the core formation level 8. The system put his body into hibernation so he could absorb most of the first energy radiated by the artifact. Although his body was put into hibernation, he heard everything Maria said. You're good," he spoke while still floating in the air. It wasn't just mere words. She really did surprise Michael. Even he was unable to see through her scheme. "The artifact will be awakened in 10 minutes, the system reminded Michael. Before the blast, he switched the orb with the system's help. If he had avoided the blast, Maria or Johnny wouldn't have thought he was dead. Then they might have killed him for real, as he was unable to move a muscle during the hibernation process. Getting blasted by the explosive hurt him like hell, yet his hunger for power gave him the strength to endure the pain. Because he endured the pain, she left him alone without interrupting his absorption process, as well as the process of opening the artifact. Meanwhile, the system was opening the artifact. He decided to test his newfound powers on the people before him. He was currently using one of his powers, the dark smoke. Since the system was busy with opening the artifact, it never actually explained the new powers in detail to him. He was extremely curious about what the system meant by awakening his Dark Lord powers. Although your plan wasn't perfect, it got the job done. If I'm right, you already have a way to escape this pyramid. Maria or no one in the hall opened their mouths. They were either too scared or shocked to speak. "They'll let you live if you kneel down and swear your loyalty to me." He almost felt bad for killing them, so he decided to offer them a choice to save themselves. Not that he expected any of them to kneel down, still he gave them a choice. "Since even daughters want you dead, they'll give you 3 seconds to make a choice." Whoosh. Suddenly an arrow shot towards Michael from Marcella's crossbow. Rude. He caught the crossbow bolt easily before it could reach him. Wind blast. A gust of wind shot from Michael's hand blasted away the entire group into the wall behind them. They all collided with the wall before dropping to the ground. Jonah completely lost his consciousness after the collision. He remained on the ground without moving a muscle. "Your time's up." To Ross, Maria saw the same golden lightning bolt that destroyed the artifact being fired at her father. The lightning bolt went straight between Ross' eyes, creating almost an inch-wide radius hole in his forehead. "No!" Marcella screamed, looking at the blood gushing out of Ross' head. His eyes remained open, staring at Michael with utter shock. "Murderer! He'll kill you!" Marcella tried to pick her crossbow frantically. Because he stopped emitting fear toxin into the air, they somewhat gained the courage to fight back, partially due to the adrenaline. Seeing her father's corpse lying beside kindled the feelings she never wanted to feel again. Initially, she thought she was ruthless enough to kill her father, except when Ross was killed by the monster in front of her, tears gushed out of her eyes. "Ignitia!" He raised his finger again as another lightning bolt shot towards Marcella. Marcella was quick, but she was not quick enough to evade the lightning bolt. "After seeing you use magic inside the void line, I don't know what to believe anymore. But one thing I'm sure, David, this isn't how you save the world. Note, Don't think MC will become a self-righteous goody two-shoes and world-saving drug. He's going to change the world to his liking. Chapter 257. You think this world doesn't need saving? Open your eyes. What do you think would have happened if Ross gave the artifact to the Giselle Senate? They will control the undead army outside, wage war against the other kingdoms, and thousands of people will die, lose their families, and end up being slaves to the rich. If you by any chance thought of any of them as innocent, you're the most naive person in the world. These words played again and again in Logan's mind. And look around you, man. If this world needs saving, it's from you. You killed a father, a daughter, and a good friend for what? Refusing to serve you? Do you really think you're the good guy? Michael heard everything without uttering a word as Logan continued. I might be a mercenary, but I have no innocent blood on my hand. If I agree to serve you, I'll end up just like you. So go ahead, kill me. You're so full of it, big guy. Finally, Michael couldn't take any more of this bullshit Logan spouting. You think this world doesn't need saving? Doesn't need saving? Open your eyes. What do you think would have happened if Ross gave the artifact to the Giselle Senate? They will control the undead army outside, wage war against the other kingdoms, and thousands of people will die, lose their families, and end up being slaves to the rich. If you by any chance thought of any of them as innocent, you're the most naive person in the world. Logan stared at the dead bodies around them. Deep down, he knew no one here is innocent. One day you'll realize that the good guys aren't enough to save the world. Michael activated the lightning dash, appearing in front of Logan within a snap of time. Logan felt like he was hit by a big log in the face before everything turned dark. He could have easily killed Logan like the others, but his instincts told him not to. Somehow, Michael believed Logan would be a loyal subordinate in the future. After knocking Logan down, his gaze turned to H, who was staring at him with a pale face. Jonah was still unconscious. What about you, H? Do you want to serve me or die? Sparks of lightning danced around his fingers. Looking at the lightning sparks, H shivered. I'll serve you. My lord, this was the first time Michael saw overwhelming fear in H's face. Even when they were facing deadly odds, he never lost the courage, yet the fear toxin and the power he displayed broke H's courage completely. Michael was glad of H's choice because people like him are easier to keep on the leash rather than people like Ross, who chose death rather than bending his knees. What's your real name? Michael floated slowly towards H. Hey, Heinberg, my lord, he stuttered without looking him in the eyes. Are you willing to be my subordinate, Heinberg? Michael doubted the system would accept him as a subordinate because Heinberg was basically forced to swear his loyalty. It was either bending his knees or death, and Heinberg chose to bend the knee. Yes. Artifact is ready to open. The system recommends the host send Heinberg away before opening the artifact. A smile emerged on his face as the time to see the artifact had finally come. Chapter 258. Because of the system's warning, Michael reluctantly decided to wait before opening the artifact. What are we going to do with those bodies? While Heinberg was tying up Jonah and Logan, she asked about the dead bodies. Well, give them a proper burial. They deserve it. He was not a monster to let the bodies rot or throw the bodies to the undead army outside. What do you think about this place? Michael asked Gaia. It wasn't anything fancy, just a gigantic empty hall surrounded by old walls. If you think about making this place our base in the southern continent, I have no objection. In fact, I was thinking the same. The pyramid has nature's protection like the rainforest and the ocean surrounding the island. Also, we have an undead army standing outside protecting from well. Everything, she spoke what he had in his mind. Yet he wanted to tell her something. This place was built by the Order of the Death. Behind her mask, her brows arched up in surprise. The same guys who built the Abyssal? Yeah, when I entered this place first, this building or something talked. It said, "Welcome, Lord Lucifer." Are you sure? Pretty sure. I haven't heard the voice after that. Well, for dead guys, they've been pretty helpful for us. First, they gave us the Abyssal, and now they had given us this pyramid. She was pretty happy with the place. Without using arch energy, it would be nearly impossible for someone to reach this place. If they destroyed the rope bridge outside, no one in this world could get inside unless someone could fly to the top of the pyramid and activate the teleporting light. Thinking about the teleporting light, she remembered something else. Hey, if they built this place, they would have left something to control the teleporting light, right? What about the artifact? Take it out. I want to see it. She shook him by his elbow in curiosity. Contain your curious snake. We'll open it when we're alone. He gave a gentle knock on her head. As payback, she too gently punched him in the shoulder. Finally, after a few more minutes, Heinberg finished tying Logan and Jonah. He dragged the two of them to Michael. Logan's face was swollen on the place where he received Michael's punch. Jonah, on the other hand, received no punches, yet he completely lost his consciousness simply due to the overwhelming fear stimulated by the fear toxin he inhaled. With the bodies tied up, he still had one more thing to take care of. He flew towards the wall in front of him as he heard the system's voice in his head. Does the host wish to mark this place for runic teleportation? Yep. A golden L symbol appeared on the wall before disappearing out of sight. Now that he had taken care of the teleportation, he came back to Heinberg. Heinberg, hold on to them. He barely understood his words before he saw David raise his hand. Suddenly, he was lifted by an invisible force. His body jerked, but he was able to balance himself by holding onto the unconscious bodies of Jonah and Logan. Heinberg looked over his shoulder while being lifted into the air to see the dead bodies also being lifted into the air. Him flying, Heinberg mumbled. This was the first time he had experienced something like this. When they reached the top, the light appeared from the very top of the pyramid. Like before, the light enveloped them. The light disappeared as they appeared on the rope bridge. The sunlight has completely disappeared, but the moon provided gentle yet beautiful light along with sparkling stars. For a few moments, Michael just stared at the moonlit sky as it soothed his soul. The sky had millions of stars, sparkling in various colors. The distant Milky Ways added extra charm to the dark blue sky. In his focus on the sky, he overlooked the silent reaper docked in the sea in the distance. Where's the east? This world, it's beautiful, isn't it? He asked, still staring at the sky. It wasn't as he had never seen such sights back on Earth. It's that something about this world that made even simple sights artistic and divine. Yes, my lord, the sight really made him agree with David wholeheartedly. Previously, he heard some people who traveled on flying ships boast about views. At that time, he simply thought they were boasting about their flying ship trip, though now, experiencing the view himself, he realized they weren't just bragging but telling the truth. Heinberg pointed in the opposite direction to where they came from. Soon, Heinberg began to float again in the air. He went higher and higher as he was able to see a black ship. The sails of the ship were up, meaning the ship was docked. He felt pity for the group who's coming for the artifact or the glory of killing the undeads. However, even from a distance, Heinberg could tell the ship wasn't just a merchant ship. It looked like a warship. The world will be more beautiful when we rule it. His heart skipped a beat after the girl spoke these words. If someone had spoken the same words, he would have laughed it off, but these two could really bring down the entire southern continent in a few days as far as he knew. That's the plan. He nodded before continuing his journey towards the east where the silent reaper is waiting for them. They flew above the army of undead and the ocean of trees before landing on a small mountain peak. From a peak, they could clearly see the ocean and the silent reaper. A small portion of the cliff was barren without any trees, and he chose this place to be their graves. Bury them here. He quickly entered the system store to buy a shovel and 2 knockout potions. Fear not, there aren't any undeads near you. He threw the shovel at Heinberg as he took off from the cliff with Gaia, leaving Heinberg with the dead bodies while he took Jonah and Logan with him. I could see the point in sparing the big guy, but why did you spare him? He just threw Jonah and Logan on the floor. Then, he willed the system to teleport him and Gaia back to the pyramid. What's your guess about the artifact? What will it be? Let me give you a clue. It's badass. And, oh, I already gave you a clue in one of the S. The clue is in Chapter 248. Wow. The system also found that the three-headed Hydra emits the same frequency of energy that has been sucking the arch energy in the southern continent, hence the void area. Do you think there might be another Hydra sleeping beneath the southern continent? Yes, the system has already informed the host about the extraterrestrial being consuming the arch energy. Now, it seems like the extraterrestrial being is a Hydra. He remembered the system's words. It also warned him not to go search for the being until he reached the immortal stage. Jerk? No, the word is bitch. Yeah, bitch. Give me something to eat, bitch. The white head gnarred its teeth at Gaia. She finally came back to her senses. Who do you calling bitch? You tiny fuck? I will rip your head off. She flicked the Hydra's white head. Please stop. The silver head pleaded with both of them, but the white head already moved itself to take a bite out of her hand. Fortunately, the neck was not long enough for the white head to get to her hand. You don't seem like a normal human in your memories. The black head finally opened its mouth, questioning Michael. Did you read our memories? Michael creased his brows. If the Hydra read his memories, it would know about his previous life on Earth. This was too early to trust this beast with his previous life. Until now, only Gaia knew about his origin, and he would like to keep it that way. Luckily, Blackhead Hydra shook its head. We didn't read your memoirs, but learned the necessary information and skills such as the language, the species in this world, etc. System? He called out the system to check whether it's true or not. The system reassures the host that the Hydra cannot read one's memories. It could only absorb certain knowledge from the being it first touches after it hatches. In this case, the Hydra touched both you and Gaia, so it absorbed the knowledge necessary for its survival from your brains, and also, the system's voice trailed away. There's always something else with you, system. I'm not even surprised. He mentally prepared himself to hear what the system's going to say next. A hatchling Hydra would usually get its knowledge from another Hydra, most of the time from its mother. However, if the hatchling Hydra touched another species on top of the necessary knowledge, it would also inherit the personality of the being it touched. Let me guess, the Hydra inherited both mine and Gaia's personalities, huh? Kinda, if he could move his body while he was interacting with the system, he would have rubbed his temples. Everything was complex when it came to him. He learned to blame himself rather than the system. Hit me with it. Each head inherited each of your personalities. Wait a minute, there are 3 heads, and there's only 2 of us, he interrupted the system. The white head, as you may have noticed, inherited Gaia's personality. The black head inherited the personality of yourself on Earth. Looking at the blackhead's eyes felt like he was looking at himself in the mirror. The blackhead was the ghost before his soul merged with Abra's. Among the 3 heads, the blackhead, it was the deadliest just by looking at its eyes, Michael could tell. After all, it inherited his personality. It was logical for them not to trust him completely. However, Michael had his ways to make all 3 heads trust him. Lucky for you guys, we share the same enemy. The Guardians and you 3 happen to inherit our personalities. Wait, what? His last words wiped off the smile on Gaia's face. Haven't you noticed? The white head inherited your personality. Are you kidding? Both Gaia and the white head asked him at the same time. Meanwhile, the black head and the silver head stared at each other before turning their gazes at Michael. First, they wondered whether what he said about the white head inheriting Gaia's personality was true or not. Secondly, if what he said was true, they wondered who among the 2 of them inherited Michael's personality. I want to ask how you know this, but I'm not going to do that. Like always, they'll just trust you. Let me guess, you're not going to tell us how you know about us when there are no other species of our kind in your world. The blackhead saw Michael nod. It's not important how I know. What's important is you 3 are connected to us for a few seconds. The blackhead and the silver head focused their gazes on Michael. The white head, however, locked in a staring contest with Gaia. Times like these made him question Gaia's maturity level. It was like her inner child is still alive and well. First, he saw her bicker with Nightmare constantly, and now she locked horns with the Whitehead. If what you're saying is true, who inherited your personality? You or him? Both. You don't have to completely believe me. We're going to spend some quality time together, and you'll come to realize the truth behind my words. The two heads looked at Gaia and the Whitehead. Michael then took out the artifact he got from Nightcrawler. Do you recognize this? Or know anything about it? This is what led us to you. Finally, the Whitehead took its gaze away from Gaia. The three heads moved towards the artifact, studying the artifact. Hey, I can sense some familiarity with this. Me too, the silver head and the white head whispered to each other. Are we going to trust these humans? Michael, or Gaia, couldn't hear them, as the Hydra's voice was way below the frequency of the human hearing range. You see another way? We were just born, and we still don't have enough information about this world to survive. He was right about one thing. This world doesn't have another one of us, so it's likely that someone would try to capture and experiment on us. The Blackhead spoke as the Silverhead nodded in agreement. They seem okay and trustworthy to me. After all, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't even have been born, so what do? The Whitehead asked the other two. The Silverhead turned its gaze towards the Blackhead. We have to be with them until we know more about everything. The three of them agreed with a nod. Until they learn everything there is to know about their species and this world, they decided to live with Michael. Chapter 262, although it had been some time, he never spent time in the captain's cabin. After walking down the stairs from the upper deck, he came before the captain's cabin. KRKKR. The doorknob creaked, letting him know about its old age. As he opened the door, he was welcomed by a lackluster room. Like the doorknob itself, the room looked ancient. There was no dust or cobwebs could be seen in the room as the pirates cleaned the room recently. The slow-burning candle on the oak table in the middle illuminated the room. The room was neither too big nor small. It was nearly the size of a master bedroom. Except for the white silk cushion on the room's corner, everything had a worn-out look to them. He thought Gaia would have redecorated the room. When he looked over his shoulder at Gaia, she just shrugged. I was busy doing chores for you for a few seconds. He scanned everything in the room. There were two old 6-foot-tall books racks on either side of the room. He never expected a pirate captain to read books, though. Near the book racks, one could see small bronze statues of naked ladies, covering their breasts with their hands. The room reeked of rum. For a person who never drank alcohol in his life, he would never spend a day in this room. On the top of the book racks, he noticed more bronze statues, as well as some old feather hats. Apart from these things, there was nothing in the room. It only took Gibson a couple of seconds to come to his side. Except that cushion and the table, he pointed at the silk cushion he bought from and presented to Gaia. I want everything out, my lord, everything. Gibson creased his bushy brows. Yes, everything. Michael stepped outside the room while Gibson signaled the pirates to follow him into the room. Why throw everything out? The silver head of the Hydra meekly asked Gaia. Did you see that room? It's not fit for a king and queen. I want my own place to sleep. The white head promptly said while the black head remained uttering no words. Also tell him to clean the room. I want it spotless. He didn't think he could get rid of the smell without using a potion or completely water wash. Since using a potion to clean the room was way easier than cleaning the room with water, he thought of a potion to do so. Show me the crew quarters. Initially, Michael wanted to know more about his newfound powers. However, after seeing the condition of his cabin, he changed his mind. If the captain's cabin was in that condition, he couldn't even imagine what a horrible nightmare would be in the crew quarters. Lord Lucifer, Gibson dragged his voice, hesitating to step towards him. It can't be that bad. Gaia avoided venturing into the crew quarters or anywhere in the ship to the matter. Come on, Gibson. Let go. The door for the below deck was located a couple of meters in front of the mainsail pole. Michael let Gibson walk forward while he and Gaia followed him behind. After all, here on, the chapters will be filled with action, gore, and BLOV. Chapter 263. Meanwhile, let's see what you can do now. Floating in the mid-air, she spoke in a challenging manner. She wanted to see the fiery eyes, and the smoke was just a display or have any powers hidden within. Before he used his powers again, he willed the system to show his current status, System Version 3. 0 Host. Michael Cultivation Level. Core Formation Stage. Level 8 Experience Points. 5,000/400,000 Badass Points. 43,000 Skills and Spells. Wind Blast. LVL-3 Responsive Shield. LVL-4 Environment Scanning. LVL-3 Ignitia. LVL-3 Lightning Dash. LVL-3 Energy Devour. LVL-1 Death Range. LVL-3 Eyes of Darkness. Normal. Can sense the cultivation level of others' Eyes of Darkness. Lucifer. Can sense the cultivation level of others. Can see through illusions cloud of darkness. Lucifer. Weak-willed enemies will lose their courage completely and surrender. Death range will be 50% more powerful if activated in darkness. The host cultivation level will be boosted 4 levels up regardless of the stage barrier. Wordless spellcaster. Lucifer. In full Lucifer form, the host just has to think of the spell to cast it. Techniques. Swords of Destiny. 90% Mastery Ring of Fire. 59% Mastery Serpent Maga. 87% Mastery Occupation. Core Disciple of Sunrise Sect, the Guardian of Sunrise Sect, Lord Lucifer of the Abyssal, the Dark Lord status. Healthy goals. Control the world, rebuild the Order of Death utility function. Banker. LVL-3, ratio, 1,000 gold coins. 10 badass points, runic teleportation wealth. 13 million gold special trait. 5-star alchemist, 3-star inventor subordinates. Gaia, warrior, loyalty level 100%. Raylene, 5-star chef, loyalty level 98%. Arya, assassin, loyalty level 32%. Heimberg, warrior, loyalty level 18%. The Silent Reaper crew, pirates, loyalty level 83%. Base of operation, Sunrise Sect, the Abyssal, the Crypt, the Silent Reaper familiars. Nightmare, Forest Dragon. Whoa, how did my skill level go up? His heart almost skipped a beat when he saw his status. The first thing he saw was his skill levels. They were raised by 1 level without him paying badass points to upgrade. The host should thank the system for converting the excess first energy you absorbed from the Hydra egg and upgrading the skills. The system sounded extremely boastful, but underneath its boastful voice, he sensed a hint of joy. He wondered why, though. The Eyes of Darkness and Cloud of Darkness has Lucifer in brackets dash. You can only use them in your Lucifer persona. Before even he could finish his thoughts, the system answered, interrupting him. And yes, the system counts the entire crew of the Silent Reaper as one entity. Yet again, the system took the liberty to answer the question he never asked but only thought. And no, until you name your Hydra, it won't show up under familiars. Are you trying to piss me off, system? The last thing he heard was the system chuckling before getting kicked out of the system menu. After getting kicked out of the system by the 4th time, he didn't feel as mad as he felt the first time. Besides, he was curious to use his powers once again. Michael closed his eyes for a second, activating the Cloud of Darkness and the Eyes of Darkness. Casting those spells felt easy as breathing. Soon, Gaia saw the black smoke enveloping him. Through the black smoke, she saw his eyes that were literally on fire, a dark crimson red fire. Looking into his eyes, her body slightly trembled in fear. The fear was faint, yet it was there. She shook her head to break the fear in her heart. Is that all you got? She stretched her hands like she was exhausted, waiting for him to show his powers. I don't want to hurt your snaky ass. That's all. Yeah, you wish. Golden barrier. Gaia flicked her wrist as a faint golden light enveloped her. The golden light might be faint, but Michael could sense an immense amount of power thanks to his Eyes of Darkness. The spell she cast was very similar to his own spell, Responsive Shield, which could now stop the attacks of anyone under the core formation stage. Pretty awesome, huh? This is one of the many legendary spells I possess. Interesting, Michael knew this must be a legendary spell after sensing the power it radiated. This spell will grow stronger with my cultivation level. Currently, no one under the core strengthening stage could break the shield. Also, it will stun the attacker for a few seconds, giving me time to cleave his or her head off. Let me give it a shot. She saw the dark smoke and the fire in his eyes vanish into thin air. First, Michael wanted to test the strength of his powers in his normal form before transforming into his Dark Lord form, Lucifer. Lightning Dash. He closed the distance between them in a blink of an eye. Gaia was extremely surprised by his speed. Every time he uses the Lightning Dash, she could see his figure, but right at this moment, she only saw a blur in the place where he was just a second ago. Just like Gaia, the Hydra was also able to see only the after image. When he got close enough to Gaia, she punched the shield as strong as he could without using only his raw strength. Boom! The moment his fist connected with the shield, a loud booming sound reverberated through the open air. Why are they fighting? Captain, see gods bless me, whoa. The pirates who were watching them shouted when they saw Michael flinging away from Gaia like a kite in the storm. His body only came to a stop from 50 meters away from Gaia. His right hand hurt like hell as he looked down to see bones sticking out of his fist while blood oozed through the wounds. Despite the APD injecting healing potion into his bloodstream, he experienced excruciating pain in his right arm. Yet on his face, one could not see an expression of someone who's going through immense pain. On the contrary, his lips curled upwards. Are you all right? Chapter 264, he caught the Hydra on his way to Gaia. She was throwing up blood because of the backlash of the clash between Michael's fist and the golden barrier. Fortunately, she had her APD filled with a 90% pure healing potion to heal her organs immediately. Otherwise, she would have suffered more than just coughing up blood. Impressed now, Michael wrapped his arm around her shoulder with a gentle smile on his face. He himself never expected his power to reach the core, strengthening stage in his complete Lucifer form. Apparently, after activating the Cloud of Darkness and the Eyes of Darkness, he could fight head-to-head with a core strengthening stage warrior and even defeat them. Even without taking his full Lucifer form, no one in the core formation stage could inflict a wound on him, let alone defeat him. By breaking Gaia's golden barrier, he grasped the extent of his current powers, except for one thing. Gradually, the fire in his eyes and the dark cloud around him disappeared. "When did you bastard reach the core, strengthening stage?" she said, spitting out the remaining blood in her mouth. "I didn't. It's just my full Lucifer form temporarily boosting my power to core strengthening stage." After wiping off the blood on the corner of her lips, she gave him a friendly punch in the gut. "Give them two. You have enough op stuff as it is." She swooped the Hydra off of his hand. "Don't you think we should name them?" Michael asked. If they didn't name the Hydra, the system would keep bitch about it and never accept the Hydra as Michael's familiar. "They'll come up with perfect names for these little fellas." She playfully rubbed each of the Hydra's heads. Except for the silver head, which nudged her hand with love, the white and the black head tried to chew her hand with their tiny little teeth. "Quit chewing my fingers, little fuckers," she chuckled. Just by looking at the way she was looking at the Hydra, he could tell that she has taken quite a liking to the Hydra. He could imagine these two fighting with Nightmare every single day after they return home. "Hey, look over there." As they were hovering in the air, the white said, raising its voice. Michael removed his hands from Gaia's shoulder before noticing 3 warships moving towards the direction of Ra's ship. From the distance, it seemed they were moving in a triangle formation. The ship moving in the front was slightly bigger than the 2 behind it. The moonlight illuminated their white flags with the symbol of 2 red swords in X shape. All 3 ships were galleons fully fitted with powerful cannons to do some nasty damage to any hostile ships. "Are those pirates?" Considering she knew very little about pirates in the southern continent, she didn't recognize ships by the flags. His crew would have if they were floating higher in the sky with them. The three ships were too far to get noticed by the normal human eyes. Fun time. The woman slowly put a pipe in her mouth as the man quickly lit a match to lit her pipe. The light illuminated the man's face, revealing his identity to Michael. "So he brought friends, do you know him?" Gaia asked. "He was the pirate captain who lost more than half of his crew to me. Now it seems he has returned to avenge them. You know, it would be nice if you guys and gals leave a comment after reading the chapter. Your comments are what drives me to write more." A hint of fear emerged in Packard's eyes when Michael said that. He also noticed some pirates clenching their teeth in anger. He figured that there might be some relatives among the pirates he killed. "You're not going to fight them, you're going to fight me," she crunched her knuckles. He creased his brows because she acted like she wanted him to fight him hand to hand. She removed her hat, revealing her dark gray hair. "Stand down, maggots. This will be Wumano Mano this time." Michael was stunned by her words. As far as he could tell, she's either stupid or extremely confident in her fighting ability. Either way, he decided to agree with the woman's bizarre decision. The pirates immediately lowered their weapons as an evil grin appeared on Packard's face. "What makes you think you can beat me?" Michael asked, smiling at her. Boom! Instead of answering Michael, she just punched the sail pole beside her. Her fist obliterated the wooden pole into blisters as the entire ship trembled. The sailcloth flew into the water, leaving the ship with one less sail. Yet again, Michael was stunned by this woman. It was impossible for a normal human being to possess such strength unless she's not normal. At this moment, his curiosity reached a new peak. He focused his gaze on this woman, but as expected, there wasn't a single trace of arch energy in her body. "System, scan her body. I want to know how she managed to destroy the pole with a single punch. 2,000 badass points required to scan her. Take it. It will take 15 minutes, so I have 15 minutes to play with her." The pirates moved away to make a space in the middle of the ship. "He's dead. Here we go. It has been so long since we saw Captain beat the shit out of someone. I don't know, man. Everything about him rubs me in the wrong way." The pirates began to chit-chat while Michael walked toward the center. The woman snapped her fingers as the pirates lit all the lanterns they previously put out. Michael's alchemy fires vanished into thin air, surprising many pirates. "What's going on there?" "I'm done with one ship. Get it done. I'm going to play for a while." "Who are you talking to?" "You'll know soon. Now shall we start?" Michael cracked his neck, waiting for Marina to make her first move. Standing on the opposite side, she moved one leg behind, raising her fist like a boxer. Whoosh! The very next moment, she dashed at him with extreme speed. He slightly moved his body, evading her fist. Although he evaded her punch, her speed stunned him. For a big woman, she was very agile and fast. With a swift twist, she turned her body before throwing a punch at him again. This time, Michael didn't evade her punch, but raised his palm. Boom! The moment Michael's palm and her big fist clashed, it produced a loud booming sound. The force of the clash sent both of them sliding backward. Michael's hand felt numb after stopping her punch. For a moment, his brain thought he was being hit by a raging bull. "You're still in one piece," she sounded surprised. "That's all you got?" Michael wanted to see the full extent of her strength, so he riled her up. If Southerners could not cultivate, how was she this strong? That was the question running in his mind. She dashed forward again, but this time, she was rapidly throwing punches and kicks at him. If it was before he learned the new fighting technique from Gaia and trained himself like hell, Marina might have landed some blows to him. Since that was not the case anymore, he evaded and dodged every single punch and kick of Marina. He felt like dancing with her while the other pirates stared at them in utter shock. As time went by, their fighting area expanded to the entire ship. H. She began to scream like an enraged beast as Michael felt her strength growing exponentially. Good, let all out. Considering the potion was 90% pure, her pain began to dissipate in a few seconds. She started to breathe as normal. Soon, she pulled herself up to kneel before him. Michael stood up, trying not to show the confusion in his heart on his face. Order of the Death, Dark Lord. This medallion had been passed on to us from our ancestors. Your ancestors served the order? She still kept her head lower without looking directly into his eyes. Yes, Dark Lord. We've been waiting for you to lead us. We never stopped searching for you. If I hadn't found you, my kin would have continued the search. He was pretty confused about the sudden turn of events. The last thing he expected was to find a descendant of someone who served the Order of the Death, the same order that apparently worshipped him as a god. Dark Lord, please take this. My father said this will prove our loyalty to you. She presented him with the medallion after snatching it from her neck. He took the medallion from her hand, expecting some kind of change in the coin, but on the contrary, he never felt anything except the coin glowed brighter in his hand. Michael willed the system to create an invisible barrier around them for 1,000 badass points, so none would hear their conversation. I, Maxine Kane, swear my loyalty to our God, the Dark Lord. From this day onwards, am yours to command. Does the host wish to accept Maxine Kane as your subordinate? The system prompted him when he finished taking her oath. Yes, he wanted to check her loyalty level. Although he never sensed any treachery vibe from her, he still wanted to make sure this wasn't a trap created by those pesky old guardians. Subordinate. Maxine Kane cultivation level. Arch sensing stage level 2. Cannot cast spells due to geological restrictions. Race. Human status. Healthy trait. Warrior loyalty towards the host. 95%. It is true. There was no better proof than the system's loyalty meter to prove Maxina's loyalty to him. Her loyalty also showed him that what she said about her ancestors is also true. If he could, he really wanted to meet those people who worshipped him as God and search for him for thousands of years. He wondered what made them devote themselves to him. Serve me well, Maxine. He placed his hands on her shoulders, helping her stand up. Her eyes brimmed with joy as tears of joy already began to flow out. She looked at him as a devotee would look like her God. He could tell that if he asked her to kill herself, she would without a second thought. The pirates, on the other hand, were confused as hell, witnessing their captain bending her knee to Michael. After getting blasted by Michael, no one dared to utter a word and move. The question of how he used magic made the pirates feel dizzy. How long have you been searching for me? Ever since I was old enough to walk, Dark Lord. My father always said that the Dark Lord will lead this world to a better age. Your father is correct. Where is he now? Chapter 267. And don't call me Dark Lord. This is not the right time to take my mantle. Just call me Lord Lucifer. Hovering in the midair, Michael ordered Maxine. Yes, Lord Lucifer, he didn't fly directly to the Silent Reaper, but stared at the shivering pirates on the deck. Packard's legs kept trembling. All of his senses were overwhelmed by pure fear. Are they loyal to you or Corey? I give you my word, Lord Lucifer. They are loyal to me. No one else, without a second thought. Maxine vouched for the pirates. Except him, I presume. He glanced at Packard. As expected, Maxine nodded, because Packard was not a pirate serving her, but another pirate captain who served Corey. Kill him. As you wish, Lord Lucifer, no. No, don't kill me. Don't. Maxine's gaze sent a chill running through Packard's spine. He started to shiver frantically while walking backward. He kept walking until he tripped on a piece of wood. You should be proud to give your life to Lord Lucifer, Packard. Accept your death with dignity. The pirates surrounded Packard, restricting him from retreating any further. Michael calmly watched the scene without interfering. He wanted to compare Maxine with the native citizens of the southern continent. Look, something's going over there. Who is that, fatty? Shoo, do you want the captain to get more pissed off at us? Why isn't the captain making any moves? And where is the Dark Queen? Michael's crew began to chit-chat looking down at Maxina's ship. They were afraid of Michael noticing them, as they still haven't cleaned the ship yet. Still, they couldn't stop themselves from watching the entertainment. I hope you shitheads are sightseeing after cleaning the ship spotless. The Silent Reaper crew felt a chill when they suddenly heard Dark Queen's voice coming from behind. They slowly turned back to see her floating in the air above the captain's cabin. "Hey, worms, how's it going?" Shorty came out of the captain's cabin with a bucket in his hand. He had no idea Gaia was floating above his head. "I have a great idea. We should keep the door open, submerge into the sea, and emerge again." "Tada! Captain's cabin cleaned," Shorty laughed. The other pirates rolled their eyeballs up to signal Shorty, yet their efforts were in vain. "Great fucking idea. Remind me to drown you next time to make you stink less. What the?" Shorty's eyes went wide as he slowly turned back to see her floating in the air. He let out an embarrassed smile. "No." Boom. Suddenly, a screaming noise reverberated in the area, followed by a loud booming sound. Gaia moved forward while the pirates turned back again. "What happened here?" the Whitehead asked, looking at the broken poles as well as the broken wooden pieces lying on the ship's deck before them. Along with the destroyed objects, they noticed a headless body lying in a pool of blood. "Who is she?" Gaia saw a chubby woman standing in front of the headless body, wiping the blood off of her fist with her shirt. Maxina's pirates were too focused on Packard's body as they almost failed to notice Gaia floating beside Michael. A descendant of the Order, Gaia was genuinely surprised after hearing Michael's words. She scanned the plump woman from top to bottom. Did she have anything to prove herself? Instead of explaining, he showed Gaia the medallion. With a single glance at the coin, she recognized the symbol. "Trust me, she's loyal. Why did she kill him?" The silver head looked at the headless body with pity in its eyes. The other two heads, however, remained indifferent. "Because you should always kill your enemies. No mercy." After killing Packard with a single punch, she turned back to see another figure in black armor floating in the sky. She could tell the person is a female, but unlike Lucifer, Maxine was unable to see her face as she wore a mask. Regardless of the mask, Maxine could feel the woman's gaze on her. Maxine's instincts told her that this person is just as powerful and dangerous as Lord Lucifer himself. Her father and his ancestors only told her about the Dark Lord, but not a single word about this woman. "Tell your people to come to Giselle Kingdom. We'll go there in my ship." Considering the damage Maxina's ship took from the initial battle between her and Michael, he knew they can't keep up with the Silent Reaper or the other two ships. Therefore, he ordered Maxine to get aboard his ship. "You heard Lord Lucifer. Fix the ship and move your asses to Giselle." "Yes, yes, Captain." The next moment, Gaia flicked her wrist as Maxine felt her body become lighter. She was taken aback by surprise looking at her feet moving up from the ground. "I'm flying," she mumbled. In a few seconds, she reached high enough in the air where the pirates looked smaller. When she landed on Michael's ship, Maxine saw the crew gawking at her curiously, especially a short guy with a bucket. "Captain, we just need a couple of more hours to clean your cabin." Gibson came to his side, drenched in water and soapy bubbles. His white shirt turned brown thanks to the mess he cleaned in lower decks. "Lord Lucifer, is this the Silent Reaper? The cursed ship?" "Yes, and not cursed anymore." Yet again the Dark Lord made her heart skip a beat. The Silent Reaper was a legend known only for a few people. They all thought the curse was unbreakable, yet here she was standing on the Silent Reaper with the Dark Lord. Her devotion towards the Dark Lord reached a new peak. She only wished her father was here to meet the Dark Lord. While they were on the deck, Michael saw Heinberg stepping out of the lower deck. He made his way towards Michael. "Good, you're here. Follow me, Gaia." Heinberg and Maxine followed him behind into the captain's cabin, while Shorty prayed that the captain doesn't get mad at him for doing a half-assed job of cleaning the cabin. When Michael entered the cabin, it wasn't as stinky as before, and the cabin looked somewhat cleaner. Ignoring the room's hygiene for a moment, Michael walked towards the oak table in the center. "Heinberg, tell me about Giselle." According to Heinberg, the Kingdom of Giselle was a huge country with a population of almost 25,000, including races other than humans. Bordered between a marsh to the north, a wild sea to the south, a mountain range to the east, and a marsh to the west, the Kingdom of Giselle was mainly living off woodcrafting, weaponsmithing, and wine brewing. Giselle itself was mainly covered in mountains and has a warm climate, which has led to a freely spread population despite the number of people, which meant most of them lived in small villages and islands. The kingdom's landscape was delicate. Green, open fields, sapphire lakes, and mellow rivers were just a sliver of the magnificence Giselle has to offer, which was why the country is cherished among foreigners. Heinberg told them that the citizens of Giselle, mainly the nobles, were selfish towards foreigners and tended to welcome them with irritation. Apparently, they were thinking foreigners could inhibit the country's well-being. Giselle had moderate laws and law enforcement, which was fairly normal. The people were troubled due to the undead island, and they had been asking the Senate to do something permanent. Giselle's army contained 3,000 soldiers, including cavalry armed with bombs, shields, and swords. The infantry was also armed with various types of bombs, such as smoke bombs, flash bombs. Other than the cavalry and infantry, Heinberg mentioned that the kingdom has two elite units, archers and Spartans. The archers were equipped with various types of arrows, as well as different types of bows for different types of situations. This piqued Gaia's curiosity. She wanted to see what kind of bow they were using. The Spartans, on the other hand, were highly trained killing machines, according to Heinberg. The kingdom only had 250 Spartans, and they would only enter the battlefield as the last resort. The ranks were also filled with many other regiments, including allied soldiers, as well as slave soldiers, including various charging units, units of war animals, several defensive units, and many medical units. What about the naval army? How many warships do they have? 10 warships, only 10? Michael was confused. Lord Lucifer, this is because of the agreement between the Senates and the pirate lords. Seeing Michael's confused look, Maxine explained, the agreement is a short one. To be honest, if a kingdom built more than 10 warships, the pirate lords view it as a sign of provocation and sent their fleet to plunder their cities until the kingdom submits. So you're saying the pirate lords can take over any kingdom with its naval power? Gaia asked. No, unless a kingdom gives a reason, such as building more than 10 warships. The pirate lords don't interfere with a kingdom's business. The beautiful moon or the sparkling stars didn't get his attention as much as she got. As far as he was concerned, he would be happier staring at her perfect hourglass structure than appreciating nature's beauty. Since he was too deeply focused on her body, he failed to notice the hydra climbing on her body to reach her shoulders. He's checking out your butt. Not only the white head betrayed him, but it also stuck its tongue out to tease him. What? Gaia immediately turned back to see his eyes were on her, instead of the beautiful night sky. When he first told her that he's liking the view, she really thought he was appreciating the night sky. Only now she realized that he was checking out her instead of enjoying what nature has to offer. Hey, don't blame me. It was you who chose to fly before me. He didn't act like he wasn't checking her out. Instead, he just spoke his mind. After all, they had both accepted each other as their better halves. Staring at each other like they were in a Mexican standoff, they flew past the clouds which spread across the blue sky like a blanket of snow. The moment they flew through the snow like clouds, the vibrant light of the moon drew both their gazes like a magnet. Michael's jaw almost dropped, looking at the view in front of him. He felt like he was inside a painting. Millions of sparkling stars decorated the bluish sky like gems. The moonlight shone platinum gold amid the starlight heaven. The last couple of weeks were tense, especially to Michael. When he first came to this world, his goal was to use the system to get rich and powerful enough to enjoy his life to the fullest. Never in a million years had he thought someone put him in this world to save it. But he wasn't going to change into a complete good guy on a savior drug. No matter what, he wouldn't change his plans of ruling this world from the shadows, getting filthy rich, and living a long, long life enjoying everything this world has to offer. The moonlight calmed his mind by making him forget everything for a moment. Wow, even a Hydra was at a loss of words in front of Mother Nature's beauty. Come here. She looked divine in the moonlight. He just pulled her closer before locking his lips with hers. She ran her fingers through his shoulder-length hair, pulling him closer and closer. Right at this moment, he didn't want anything else other than a lover's embrace. He savored her lips, as well as this moment, as much as he could. Don't mind us, we just close our eyes. Meanwhile, back on the Elon continent, 6 elderly figures were seated around a round table. They looked like they were in their late exiting or early 70s. Have the Guardians or the church found a reason for what happened? One of the elderly people, who was a man, asked the others. They're still investigating. Apparently, only Elon and his heir are experiencing this issue. My contact in the Guardian said it's not permanent. That's good news. The tournament is in 3 weeks, and we have yet to find a way to see someone's cultivation level. An old woman rubbed her temples. The wrinkles on her forehead increased due to recent complications. Well, until now, you just focus on the arch energy radiation coming from someone to know their cultivation level. Who would have known that something would mask the radiation suddenly? Not only these old people who were responsible for organizing the 2 championship tournaments, but no one in the world knew that it was Michael who started this mess. When the hostile Hydra became mad, it let out a pulse that was hiding a cultivator's energy radiation. In other words, the cultivators lost their ability to perceive one's cultivation level just by looking at them. For anyone living in the southern continent, they felt the pulse as an earthquake, but for Elon and his heir, the pulse resulted in more than an earthquake. The Guardians are working with the Dwarven Kingdom and the Elven Kingdom to design a device that might solve this problem. But since the competition is in 3 weeks, we might get just a rushed product. At this point, anything would do. Let the Guardians and the church handle it. If they can't, they should ask the Sky Hall. I heard the Guardians has someone whose sister is the Sky Hall's next holy maiden, Noah Winston. It's a pity that we can't let Guardians compete in the tournament, one of the old men said. He has the most potential to win the main tournament. An old lady with golden hair spoke. What about the 5-star alchemist of Rivertown? You mean Ghost? You just answered your own question, Anon. He's an alchemist, not a fighter. This is a stage for big-time warriors who have trained themselves in combat arts for years. Honestly, I don't think he stands a chance. I agree with lovely Gilda here. There's a reason the Alchemist Guild has a tournament of their own. They're not fighters, they're just bookworms. Enough of your predictions. Let's talk about the prizes for each championship. Another old man stopped their conversation as the old woman called Gilda said, About that, Gildra retrieved a parchment tied using a golden ribbon from her space ring before sliding it towards the old man who asked about the prizes. The old man picked up the parchment, opening it carefully. The others stared at him, reading what's written on the parchment. His old eyes started to get wide. Except for Gildra, who had already read the parchment, the others wondered what's on the parchment that made the old man Morgan react this way. Well, what is it? The old man put the parchment on the table before him. King of Bradia wants to offer Bradford Barony to the main championship tournament winner. Their eyes went wide in surprise. Not even once in the tournament's history did they offer something such as a barony as a final prize. What was inside the wooden boxes was not Michael's concern at the moment. The soldiers remained calm until they saw Heinberg dragging 2 bodies that had their heads covered by black bags. Some of the soldiers standing behind, the leading soldiers, tilted their spears towards Michael as a sign of caution. Tell your men to move aside, soldier. We are here for official business. Michael noticed Heinberg retrieving a gold-plated card the size of a credit card from the inner pocket of his shirt. This was the first time Michael saw the thing, but apparently not the soldier in the front. The moment he saw the card, the soldier's body tensed. He immediately saluted at Heinberg, while his eyes showed a mix of fear and respect. Where is Senator Caius? In his manor, sir. Does the sir want us to escort you? The soldier almost raised his voice like he was in a cadet walking. After Heinberg showed the gold card, the soldier didn't even take a second look at the bodies. Lord Lucifer, Heinberg looked at Michael, wordlessly asking him to speak further. Michael just nodded as Heinberg gave further orders to the soldiers. No one goes to the ship without my say, so, yes, sir. Tell them to leave him somewhere safe, Michael said, glancing at Logan. Put him somewhere safe and leave him alone, as per Michael's order. Heinberg moved Logan's body towards the soldiers. The onlookers stared at the scene and the silent reaper for a few moments before resuming what they were doing. After all, these working classes were paid for working, not for gawking. In front of Michael, there was a straight road paved in gray stones leading to the inner city. Either side of the roads had buildings and occasional palm-like trees. Dragging Jonah's body would be a pain and slow down their pace, so Heinberg just lifted his body, putting him on his shoulder. As any typical city would have, he noticed smithery, a couple of bakeries, as well as ration stores along the way. In addition to those stores, he was surprised to see many alchemy ingredient stores and agriculture supplies stores. Given that all the people in the southern continent required food, there was a higher demand for agriculture supplies than all the other continents. Fresh, organic eggs, fruits and vegetables for the cheapest price. Come on, lords and ladies, take a look at our produce. It felt like a century since he heard the cries of farmers and smelled the scent of marketplace. How much are these? While walking through the streets, he forgot to turn back until he heard Gaia's voice. She was at a fruit stall, smelling the reddish mangoes on a bucker before a white-bearded old man. 10 mangoes for 3 gold coins. No way. 2 here. He almost twisted her ears for trying to bargain with the old farmer for 1 gold coin. It was fortunate they could spend the gold coins of Elon in the southern continent, as both the continents shared the same currency. Stop. Let me choose, she interrupted the old farmer and started to pick the mangoes herself. What did she say? Oh yeah, don't focus on the color. Squeeze the mango gently and smell the stem in for a fruity aroma. The old man just stared at Gaia while she took each mango in her hand, squeezing and smelling them. Yeah, take your sweet time. I am taking it. She completely ignored Michael, who just rolled his eyes. Seeing the both of them, the old farmer chuckled. Wives as sir. Heinberg felt a chill crawling through his spine when he saw the old man casually kidding the 2 most terrifying people in the whole southern continent. He thought the old man was going to die a horrible death, but unlike what he expected, Heinberg saw Lucifer just laugh with the old man while she elbowed Michael, gently smiling. Yes, they are, Lord Lucifer. Unlike the legionaries, the Spartans remained closer to the mansion entrance. What are you waiting for? Go ahead, Gaia, ordered Heinberg. The Spartans were an elite group of soldiers who only answered to the senators. Therefore, Heinberg's gold card meant nothing to the Spartans. Heinberg showed the gold card to the legionary soldiers while walking towards the mansion as the soldiers saluted at him before moving away from their path. Stop. However, when they approached the front door, a Spartan warrior with dark brown hair and beard stopped them. The Spartan had a clear muscle definition. His face was covered by the helm, but Michael could see his brows frowning looking at the body on Heinberg's shoulder. The Spartan focused on the body as he didn't even take a glance at Michael or Gaia. Who is it? The Spartan didn't address Jonah as a body. It was obvious to Michael that the Spartan soldier saw enough dead bodies to differentiate a live one from a dead body. Heinberg turned his gaze towards Michael, waiting for him to open his mouth. It's Senator Caius' son, Jonah. The Spartan soldier let out a surprised shout. Why is he unconscious? No matter. The Spartan soldier continued before looking at Michael and Gaia from top to bottom. Spartans! The Spartan soldier shouted as a couple of more Spartans came out of the house. Search them before letting them in. I'll go see Senator Caius. The Spartan soldiers went inside as the other soldiers came to search the trio. Michael let the Spartan soldier search him without saying anything. After all, Both Michael and Gaia had no weapons on them, but they kept their weapons in the space ring. Even though Gaia was a female, the Spartan soldier never crossed his line when searching for her. Michael nodded in approval inside, looking at their discipline. "You can't bring this inside." The Spartan soldier pointed at Gaia's basket. "And what's in that satchel?" She could leave the basket outside, but there was no way in hell she would show the Hydra to the outside world yet. She didn't even trust Maxine with the Hydra, or she would have left the little Hydra in the ship. "It's Senator Caius' package." Michael's words stopped the Spartan soldier from touching the satchel and probably ended up dead in her hands. After hearing what he just said, the Spartan soldier gave them a look of doubt, but eventually decided not to search the satchel, because it's a crime to lay hands on packages such as those of the senators. All the Spartan soldiers knew about the secret operations the senators do in the shadows, therefore. The soldier kept his hands off of the satchel. "Follow me and don't make any sudden moves," the Spartan soldier warned them before leading them into the mansion. "Humph! Not a Spartan in this county who could stop these two," Heinberg thought to himself. The Spartan always acted so high and mighty because they were the strongest and the elite soldiers a kingdom could offer. Chapter 271. While following the Spartan soldier, he noticed several more Spartans guarding the mansion. Apart from the Spartans, there were many slave maids cleaning the floors, furniture, as well as walls. The mansion's interior was just as fancy as the outside. The marble floors cleaned by the slaves were spotless, reflecting the golden light produced by the miniature chandeliers on the ceiling. The corridor gradually opened up to a spacious hallway, where Michael saw several paintings of a man in a toga hanging on the walls. The man looked like a typical Roman nobleman with a short haircut. A few slaves cleaning the floors took a peek at Michael, but they quickly turned their eyes at the floor before the Spartans could notice them. "Clean it thoroughly, lowlives. The rug is worth more than your filthy lives," a legionary soldier shouted at the slaves cleaning the floor near a maroon carpet. The hall was decorated with a classic Roman sofa set with a gold inlaid tea table as a centerpiece. The dark brownish sofa set did not match with the white marble floor per se, but it gave a unique charm to the hall along with a huge chandelier hanging directly above the tea table. The Spartan soldier threw a glance at Michael and Gaia, expecting them to be shocked by the grandness of the mansion, yet what he saw in their eyes was nothing but indifference. Soon, the soldier led them towards the curved stairs on the far end of the hall. Heinberg walked forward on the stairs, carrying Jonah on his shoulder. His heartbeat began to rise nearing the senator's room. To this moment, he had no idea what these two were planning to do with Senator Caius. After they climbed the stairs, they saw a majestic two-door with golden doorknobs. The door was guarded by two Spartan soldiers. One was a normally built soldier while the other looked huge, almost double the size of Logan. The soldier wore full golden metal armor from toe to head. There wasn't a single place in his body that wasn't covered by metal. He was at least 7.5 feet tall, with the same size spear in his hand. "He's the giant, Senator Caius' personal guard. Wait inside. Senator Caius will meet you in a few moments." The Spartan standing beside the giant opened up the door. "You heard him. Don't do anything stupid while you're inside." No one accompanied the trio inside the room. As far as the Spartans concerned, who would be stupid enough to steal something when the giant's standing right outside the door? If they were caught stealing or anything that could harm Senator Caius, the giant would rip their bodies apart. Even the Spartans were afraid of the giant. The room they stepped in was large, yet looked cozy with thick carpet. A large oak table with 2 comfy chairs on the front for the guests, while a white throne-like sofa for the senator. There were no windows, though, which was logical considering no one could assassinate the Senate from a distance through the windows. He knew the safest place for him was by Lucifer's side. However, he prayed to the gods that he won't become collateral damage in the battle between the Spartans and Lucifer. It's rude to keep the guests waiting, my dear Spartans, since he didn't use a voice modulator. He sounded like himself. But what he did and said made the Spartans' blood boil in anger. Soon, several more Spartans came running after hearing their fellow Spartans' initial shout. At the moment, 12 angry Spartans stood at the entrance aiming their spears at Michael and Gaia. As usual, Heinberg saw no distress on his face. "Grrr!" The giant's growl got louder as he took a step towards Michael. Each of his steps made the room tremble. "What's going on here?" The giant halted his steps when they all heard a sudden voice. The Spartans moved aside as Michael saw the old man in the paintings standing at the entrance with the Spartan soldier they met before. "What in the hell?" The Spartan soldier reacted the same as the others. "Senator Caius," Heinberg called out to the senator to draw his attention. "I don't know who you are, but you just made a big mistake." However, Senator Caius was still looking at Michael. Although the senator looked calm, Michael could see the killing intent in his eyes. If Gaze could kill one, he would have died by now. The senator walked towards him while the Spartans surrounded the room, waiting for the senator to give the killing order. The senator stopped by the giant's side. He glanced at the giant, wordlessly telling him to wait for his order. I have some questions for you. But before you answer them, you better explain to these two the crimes they committed against the kingdom." Senator Caius could see that they have probably returned from the undead island completing the task, but what Michael did was a crime against him. To this moment, Caius didn't see Jonah's face because he was facing Jonah's back, not his face front. "He doesn't take orders from you anymore," Caius, Michael calmly said. "Grrr." The giant growled more after hearing Michael address Caius by his name. Addressing a senator by his name before others was a crime and considered insolence against the kingdom itself. Therefore, the Spartans became enraged. "Why don't you take a seat beside your son?" Michael pointed at Jonah as Caius' eyes went wide in shock. He slowly moved towards Jonah before looking at his face. Instead of acting happy to see his son, Senator Caius creased his frowns while scanning the room for someone. "How did he? Where's Ross?" Finally, the senator asked for Ross. "Did you really think they would survive on that island the second time?" Michael's words stunned the senator. For the first time, the anger in his old eyes faded away while a hint of panic emerged in his eyes. "I offered him the chance to live. All he had to do was swear his loyalty to me. You killed him?" The senator gritted his teeth. "I don't believe it. You couldn't have killed Ross in a million years. He's a Spartan captain." The Spartan soldier yelled at Michael. To the Spartans, Michael was just a youngster in fancy armor. They couldn't even imagine him killing Ross, a highly decorated Spartan. Oh, he was a Spartan? This was a piece of new news to Michael. "That doesn't matter now. Let's get on to business, shall we?" Chapter 272. The Spartans were waiting for the senator's orders to kill him. The way he's sitting legs up on the table, the way he spoke made the Spartan blood boil in anger. "If you may," Michael looked at Gaia as she flicked her wrist. The very next moment, the door slammed shut. Ow! The senator's mind went black seeing the door shut itself. The Spartans looked bewildered about what just happened. They had no idea what he was about to do to them if the senator refused to accept his offer. Initially, Michael wanted to silently make the senator his puppet, but after witnessing how the nobles treat the slaves, he wanted to show the senator a glimpse of hell, so he would do everything Michael says with no questions asked. "From now on, you're going to do everything I tell you to Senator Caius. Can we kill him now?" "Grrr." The giant growled as usual while the Spartans basically trembled to kill Michael. Yet, Senator Caius hesitated to give the order because he wanted the artifact he ordered Heinberg to get. Most of all, he didn't want the Spartans to know about the off-the-books operation. But it was too late for him to send the Spartans out, as Gaia already put a barrier around the room when she shut the door. The barrier would prevent the Spartans from leaving along with any sound. "As you can see, my Spartans are very eager to kill you. You and I both know what's keeping me from giving the order." The senator retrieved his calm composure. He didn't know what sort of technique they pulled to close the door, but with his Spartans and the giant, he felt invincible. As far as Caius was concerned, their lives were in his hands. "What do you think is in that bag?" "You can tell him, Michael didn't worry about confirming Caius the existence of the artifact. If Michael's guess was right, Caius would either doubt the truth or try to get his hands on the satchel. The moment nodded, Caius' body shuddered. "But it's mine now," growling. "I'm going to give you one last chance, kid. Give me the artifact and beg for my mercy. I might tell Giant to go easy on you two. Giant that, Giant this. What's the big deal? You think he can protect you from me?" Finally, Caius snickered, having enough with Michael. "Giant." The Giant took a step forward as the Spartans took a step back. They had all seen what the Giant would do to Caius' targets. Ignitia. He aimed his index finger at the Giant's head as a thick golden lightning bolt went straight through the Giant's metal helmet like a hot knife through butter. For a few moments, no one uttered a single word. They were speechless. Thud! It took the Giant's body a few seconds to hit the ground. Soon the Giant was lying in his own pool of blood beside Senator Caius. Protect the Senator. Only the Spartan soldier Michael met first regained his senses. He immediately shouted at the other Spartans, realizing the danger Caius was in. Caius, however, stood still in shock. In The Man Who's Gonna Rule This Continent, Michael pulled Caius' right arm. Michael began to write his name, one letter at a time, on Caius' arm using the lightning bolt. His skin began to burn as Caius screamed in agony. "You, Senator, are Because of the barrier Gaia put around, not a single sound escaped the room. Watching Lucifer torture Caius sent a chill running through Heinberg's spine. He had seen the Senator and the Spartans torture and kill people before, but he never imagined someone would do the same to them. "Karma is a bitch, Senator," Heinberg sighed inside. After tattooing the letter F of his name, the Senator's eyes rolled inside the socket. He was losing his consciousness, yet Michael injected a small amount of healing potion into Caius' bloodstream to keep him awake. It was not enough to heal the burn wounds. It was just enough to keep him from losing consciousness. "Say my name." For the first time since he came to Caius' house, Heinberg saw his face turn serious. Standing on the side, seeing him like this terrified the heck out of Heinberg, and he could imagine how terrified the Senator would be. Senator's body shivering was a pretty good sign of the fear in his heart. "Say my name." The intensity of the lightning bolts increased while the room began to turn darker and darker. Caius looked up, growling in pain, to see Lucifer's eyes glowing in crimson-red color. "Lucifer!" The moment the Senator said his name, his eyes fired up as dark smoke enveloped his body, completing Michael's Dark Lord form. With a swift kick, Michael turned Senator's chair to face the Spartans. "I'm going to make you a one-time offer." While speaking to Caius, he pointed at a Spartan. The lightning bolt brushed past Caius' ear and ended the Spartan's life in a second. From now on, yet again, he sent another lightning bolt, killing another one. "You work for me." Heinberg saw another Spartan soldier lose his life. Their eyes were still open with full of fear and shock. "Or you and everyone you care for." This time Michael raised both of hand as several lightning bolts shot from his hands killed all the Spartans in the room. When the lightning bolts disappeared, the Spartan bodies permeated smoke and burned skin smell. The sight made Caius' blood run cold. "We'll die." Michael finished his sentence after he turned Caius' chair to look him in the eyes. "Their deaths were quick. Betray me, or even think about it, you will beg for death." While the Senator was scared shitless, Michael willed the system to place a teleportation rune on the table so he could teleport in and out of the room wherever he wanted discreetly. "Clean the mess. Our Senator here will offer a generous amount of gold to the Spartans' families who unfortunately lost their lives saving the Senator's life from a group of assassins." Hi guys, I've been playing the heck out of Battlefield 2042 open beta for the last 2 days, so that was why I couldn't update the chapters. Sorry. Chapter 273, was that really necessary? While flying above the city, Gaia asked Michael, "Was what?" "Killing the Spartans. I thought we were just going to beat the hell out of them." Michael stopped flying for a moment to answer Gaia. "First, the Spartans would have told others that Caius is working for me. Second, killing all of them was the best way to scare and make Caius our bitch. Third, anyone who protects scumbags like Caius with their lives doesn't deserve to live." Michael never knew the Spartans like Heinberg. When he killed them, he only listened to his gut feeling, which said the Spartans were anything but innocent. What's the plan now? She wasn't going to argue with him after noticing the cold intent in his eyes. Ever since he said he saw a glimpse of the future, she noticed many changes in him. He had become more cold-blooded. To be honest, she wasn't worried about his newfound changes. On the contrary, she was glad because there was no way a soft-hearted person could achieve their goals. We'll take a day off first. Then, we'll kidnap all the senators and make them our bitches. She saw him smile coldly. Leaving Heinberg in Krilta, they continued to fly in a random direction. After flying for an hour, they found a glossy grass field on the top of a small mountain cliff. The sun was many hours away from setting down, yet their limit of arch energy usage time made them rest for the day. I want this world to stay like this, standing atop the cliff. He looked at the majestic view before him. As far as his eyes could see, the land was covered with green forests, grasslands, zigzaggy rivers, lakes, and a chain of mountains, yet only a small portion of this vast Mother Nature contained man-made buildings. Although he was not into saving nature back on Earth, compared to Earth, this world was heaven. It was because these people coexisted with nature instead of destroying it. At first, he didn't value nature's beauty too much, but after seeing the future world where there wasn't a single tree or clean water source, he wanted to preserve this world as it is. If that meant fewer technologies, he was ready to sacrifice technology for nature. This was purely a decision made of selfishness, as he would rather rule a beautiful fantasy world than a technologically advanced polluted planet. They sat down on the grass field, feeling the gentle coldness of the dew. Gaia rested her head on his shoulder as he on her head. The Hydra wiggled out of the satchel onto Gaia's lap. It will be more beautiful if we have someone to play with. The silver head sounded a little gloomy. You do have someone to play with, little fella, a big, scaly, dumb dragon. Hearing her words, even the white head looked surprised and even delighted for a second. Think of him like your big brother, said Michael. Where is he now? The silver head asked with a bit of excitement hidden within its voice. He is at home. It took me a while to find the strength needed to follow my passion instead of doing what others ask of me. I quit my internship and decided to become a full-time writer. So good news, expect 2 to 3 chapters a day from November. And I hope you guys stick with me and continue to support my work. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.